All right, I have 7 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order and stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, first item on the agenda tonight is our February minutes and March claim docket. Everybody at the table had a chance to review those items.
I have reviewed the February minutes and the March claim dockets, and I'll make a motion that they stand.
Okay, got a first motion? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Second item on the agenda is our public hearing for the Unified Development Ordinance. So I will close our regular business meeting and now open a public hearing for any comments or questions about our Unified Development Ordinance. That's this document here that the Planning Commission has recommended we adopt.
Is that to do with the water waste thing?
No.
No? Okay.
Okay, no comments on the UDO, so we'll close our public hearing and reopen our regular business meeting. So the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals have worked with GRW for the last year, putting together this Unified Development Ordinance. Basically, they combined our subdivision control and our typical planning ordinances for the town into one document. So the question to the board tonight is, do we want to adopt this based on the recommendations from the Planning Committee?
I make a motion we accept the document.
Okay, got a first?
I'll second it.
All right, second motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, UDO is adopted. The next steps for that is GRW is going to put it together in a, this is for you, Dave, into a searchable web page. So, and then add that to our town's website. And it'll include the application packets so that any citizen in Clayton can go onto our website, search through this, and also, you know, print out an application and fill that out. All right.
Yep.
For anything, planning, zoning, variances, requests, any of those kinds of things. So they'll work on that, and they'll work with you on
get it posted,
incorporating that into our website. Next up is public hearing for rezoning of Dwayne Lane property. So I'll close our business meeting again and open a public hearing for the Dwayne Lane's property. Dwayne Lane is requesting a rezone of the property at 5098. Sorry, I have this in my head already.
5029.
Say it again.
5029.
5029 Iowa Street. I apologize. And he wants to divide the property and then build 2 more doubles similar to what he's already built in town. And so this is the public hearing on the rezone. He did go through the planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals, and they have approved this zoning, or they recommend the approval of this zoning change. But we're opening this up for public comment now. Anybody have public comment on Dwayne Lane's proposal? Okay,
I'm here with Comer Law representing Dwayne Lane, so if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
okay. And what's your name?
Sorry, Amy Elliott.
Amy Elliott. All right, great. Welcome. Okay, I don't hear any comments on the public hearing part, so I will close the public hearing, reopen our regular business meeting. So the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission have heard the application or the request from Dwayne Lane and Comer Law offices to rezone this property and get a variance for being able to build his doubles on that property. Does anybody on the board have any questions or comments?
Will Pennsylvania Street extend back in behind those?
It will not need to because of the way he changed his proposal. The alley that exists between the house and the existing doubles, we will work with the town board. They want to convert that into a one-way street going from Iowa to Pennsylvania, so that then nobody will need to go southbound on Pennsylvania anymore.
Okay.
So, which has been a concern for the property owner down there, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper that own that property on the next side over.
Right.
A lot of people use that driveway like it's a part of a town street.
Yeah.
And so when they changed their design to have the doubles facing north, they said, let's make that a one-way street. And then
So that'll be one way and then one way going north.
Pennsylvania won't be one way because
Oh.
the houses on the other side still use that.
Okay, so
and
Pennsylvania.
and Pennsylvania is wide enough to be two ways. This alley is not wide enough by state law to be a two-lane street. It can be a one-way street, but at its size, that's the only option.
Do we have to create a name for that street?
Yes.
Okay.
I suggested to the planning commission that we call it Dwayne Lane. but we didn't officially make any decisions about that yet. So that'll be down the road. We haven't got to that point yet. But any other questions? All right. So the question to the board is: do we want to approve the rezone, which the rezone would switch it from R2 to R3?
And my understanding is the variance has already been approved,
The
conditionally approved.
Condition on our
for the
rezoning
duplex,
approval
yeah.
here, yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the rezoning of Dwayne Lane's property from R2 to R3.
Okay, got a first?
I'll second.
Got a second? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries, rezone. Alright, so the next item on our agenda, old business, Baker Tilly Capital Asset Plan. Last month, we talked about a proposal from Baker Tilly to help us with keeping control or keeping an eye on and where our capital assets are and what they're doing and replacement of those in a timely manner. The cost that Baker Tilly was proposing was somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. We tabled that to research other options. My own personal search, Google search for places doing this type of thing started at $10,000 also. So I couldn't find anything less than that in my own personal search. I don't know if anybody else found anything different than that.
I think we need it. We need that asset plan to go. It to meet state requirements and some other things.
Yes, this will definitely help with our internal controls.
And then it's something that we can keep up on every year. We don't have to have it done again,
Right.
unless we, don't do our job.
Okay.
If So with the information you dug up, then I would make a motion that we accept that plan.
All right, got a first motion to accept Baker Tilly's capital asset plan and move forward with that.
I'll second.
Got a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, next on the agenda, town seal contest. Dave, did we get any submissions?
We got no submissions, and so I took the ability to post anything down until we made a decision. So it's just hidden right now off of the website. So I can activate it again, but as of right now, it's not visible up on there because I didn't know what we were going to do. So I didn't want anybody throwing something in and kind of then finding out that we're not doing it or something. So
I talked to Diane tomorrow, and she said that she was so backlogged, there was no way they could do it this year, but for me to get a hold of her when school started next year, and they would be happy to try to put it into the curriculum so that they could do something if we didn't do anything by then.
Okay. All right, so do we want to wait for the art department at Cascade High School to work on this next fall at the start of the fall semester at Cascade, or do we want to try to do something in the meantime? I do know right now, because of the way things are going with our Indiana Finance Authority SRF loan stuff, we can't adopt a seal until after the end of March, which I don't think that's going to be a problem if we didn't have any submissions. But just so you know, we can't adopt it right now because we've had to tell SRF that we don't have a town seal. Otherwise, they wanted it on our documents.
We should have the high school do that, that'd be pretty cool. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
okay.
So consensus of let's postpone this until high school can resume in the fall and work on this with their art department.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So table town seal contest. All right. Next one item on the agenda: ordinance for clerk to pay bills and avoid late fees.
And I can work on that. I've got a draft here that I can circulate tonight if you'd like to take a look. One question I had was whether you wanted to impose a limit on the amount that can be paid without prior approval, or you just want a situation where anytime there's gonna be a late fee incurred, kids authority to pay it, even if it's a substantial sum. So that was one question I had. And then the statute that allows pre-approval I've got one copy myself.
Okay.
Also allows for payment of other things like insurance premiums and, I don't think rents would be an issue for us, but there's a number of other items that you could, pre-authorize her to pay that we could include if you wanted. So, and I'm happy to kind of circulate that list if you want to see all those items.
I think it'd be a good idea for her to be able to pay it without paying late fees, whatever it is, because she is the one that pays the bills and knows what we need to get done.
Yeah, in the audit that the State Board of Accounts did, they flagged the late fees that we were paying, and they were the ones that pointed me to that ordinance or the state statute initially saying you can do this. So I thought it would be helpful, to help the town not have to keep paying these late fees. It wasn't an exorbitant amount of money that we were paying, but it was just something that we can avoid doing. I think it would be good to avoid that.
The way it's written right now, the cap is 500. So maybe we can take that out.
Yeah, because some late fees are not just certain amounts, aren't they, like percentages? So I mean, if we get some that are something high paid, that we might, you know, get quite a bang on it.
Yeah, so I think this gives the clerk treasurer and the deputy clerk treasurer the freedom to get those bills paid and avoid late fees, even if our second Thursday of the month is, you know, 14 or 15 days into the,
Do you wanna include the deputy clerk treasurer too?
I mean, I think that would be appropriate myself,
That makes
is everybody
sense.
else good with that?
If that person's tasked with paying those and getting them done, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Jenny's in Florida, we want clerk treasurer to pay that. And, yeah, I'm good without necessarily having a cap on it, just because it'll be bills that we will all still see the bill and the payment at the town council meeting,
Right.
so it's not gonna be, subterfuge, so to speak. It'll still be
Right.
clearly displayed for us, but it'll avoid that late fee. Any other questions or comments from the board for Graham on this?
I saw it. I'm good.
Any other?
So it sounds like we're taking out the limit and then authorizing clerk treasurer and deputy.
Okay, I have
Yeah,
a question about that. I was thinking that I shouldn't be able to sign. I thought the state kinda wanted someone who wasn't a signatory on the thing. I'm just saying, I'm just asking.
You're not asking about this ordinance necessarily. You're asking about the job of
Well,
the deputy
yeah,
clerk
but if he
treasurer.
puts that in there that I can, then because I got the impression that the point was not to have me be able to sign.
Oh,
And I may
what-
be wrong, I may be
You're on
wrong.
You're on
Uh-huh.
the signatory, you're a signatory, you're right.
Right.
no. The reason that internal controls offers the idea of a position of deputy clerk treasurer is another set of eyes
Okay,
on the accounts,
Okay.
especially the cash deposits,
mhm,
to verify that somebody's not sneaking in the
Right.
office and pocketing this money without our knowledge.
Right.
So they don't have any qualms with you signing
Okay,
checks and
that was
paying
all I
bills and
needed to know.
all that also. You're basically, as the deputy clerk treasurer, you'll step in to do the clerk treasurer role anytime she's not available.
Okay,
And or you'll also be that other set of eyes to say, okay, the cash deposit that Jenny has said she made is actually
okay,
the cash deposit that she made. I put my eyes on that and we saw this happen.
okay,
Now,
that's
does
fine,
it-
I just wanted to make sure.
Do we need to go to the bank and put her as a signatory also then? Cause it's me and Leanne right now.
Well, yeah, you'd have to. She
I
can't
would
write a
think
check.
so.
She can't sign a check if she's
Yeah.
not on the account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once we officially make her the
Right.
deputy clerk treasurer. Which
I
that's
jumped in,
your,
I'm sorry, I just didn't want the ordinance
that's
to be.
the way that the ordinance is written about that, the clerk treasurer has the freedom to hire and appoint a deputy clerk treasurer,
With council's approval.
and then the council approves that person. So-
And then Jenny, you really could take my name off then,
No,
right? No?
no.
Oh, okay. Okay. Once they got you, they got you.
Right, right.
Okay.
Alright, so we took kind of a tangent there.
I'm
The
sorry.
ordinance is for payment of bills to avoid late fees prior to getting approval from the council, but then you would still bring that information to the council for approval after the
Right,
fact.
yeah.
Any other questions or comments about the ordinance?
They should be ready to go.
Alright, thank you, Graham, for working on that. Next one up, Graham, you and Chief Oliphant and talk about the noise ordinance.
You wanna go?
Yeah, I mean, so we've got a draft of the noise ordinance that I circulated. I guess I'm just looking for feedback on what your thoughts are. Is it reasonable to you, or are there things we need to adjust? Generally, I guess, just as an overview, it's tied to decibels. So we talked about at the previous meeting, being able to have some objective measure of what how loud the sound is. And it caps, if you're at 115 decibels or more, you're in violation, kind of per se. And then there's a 90 decibel limit, 10 feet from the property line. But then there's certain exceptions for holidays and weekends. You know, 4th of July or.
That's the only area that I looked at, seemed like it was just hard, I mean, I'd have, just to a violation, I'd have to look at it, I mean, it's hard to memorize all those different times, and
Okay.
is that what you were seeing pretty typical of other towns, and?
There were a couple that had some exceptions in there.
Yeah. I'm good with the exceptions. I just don't know
Or
if we
the,
can simplify it at all.
Yeah.
Like a Cliff Notes version of Monday through Friday, you know, after 9 p.m., or Monday through Thursday after 9 p.m., here's your violation. Friday, Saturday, Sunday after 11 p.m. or whatever it was, I don't remember now.
Yeah. You know, the other thing is, on a lot of these holidays, people kind of expect there to be noise anyway, so there's probably not gonna be a lot of complaints.
Right, especially Independence Day, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve.
St. Patrick's Day.
The Irish.
From John's house.
It's pretty rowdy. I'm good with the majority of it, I just don't know if we wanna to simplify B.
Yeah,
On,
I
okay.
do too. It does seem a little, maybe, do you wanna regulate, you know, a lot of these have regulations on like lawn mowing and that kind of hours. I mean, is that something you guys wanna get into, or?
Do you think we're seeing that? I mean,
I know as far as lawn mowing, I don't see people working late at night in the dark.
I got a question.
Hold on. It's not time for public comment. Sorry. So I mean, if it's in there, but you don't get complaints, then there's not a problem.
right, it's not
But if
something, it's not
it's-
something that we're going to actively enforce, it'll be something more reactive, getting a call and trying to handle it that way. I don't foresee us as a department going out and just finding a house and saying, oh yeah, you're in violation. You know, I think it'd be something more that we would want, and again, it's up to the board, but I see it something more of we're addressing per complaint, and when there's a complaint that comes in, then we'll, you know, inform them of the ordinance, try to do it with a warning, you know, and see if that fixes it. I mean, again, the last thing we wanna do is find somebody. That's my personal opinion. I don't know, how does the board feel?
So it would, I mean, you're saying it would be a reactionary
Or reactive
enforcement
proactive.
where somebody calls and says, my neighbor's mowing at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday.
Alright,
And you're like, okay, we'll come by.
right.
And,
And again, I still think it's something where you probably you probably try to educate them first, you know, because I know we can publish this on the website and Facebook and stuff, but I think you're still gonna have to educate the public on it, you know, and then get that, and then go from there. Obviously, if it persists and continues, then we'll have to, you know, take the necessary steps to try to stop it. That's what I'm thinking, at least.
okay. Alright, so a little bit, we can table it again tonight and work on those kinks and then bring it back
I mean,
again.
how does the board feel? I mean, is that the only, that B on, as far as on the, offenses, is that the only area that Or we wanting to look at all of A, B, C, and D. I did forward this to our prosecutor, but I haven't heard anything back.
Okay, well, maybe, 'cause did you talk to him about the one issue?
We did, as far as, yes,
He's the one that said you should get an ordinance.
right.
Maybe we should wait and see what he has to say.
I don't know that when, in those initial talks, or those talks back when we had that, he wasn't really concerned about, he was just suggesting we should get something in place to try to correct it through this. Through the ordinance, they didn't really, I don't think he had much.
This
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
this is a start to why we wanted the ordinance in the first place.
Right.
That we didn't have anything to leverage against
We
problems.
don't, the only option we had was like a disorderly conduct charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that noise was like a stereo or something,
On this one?
on the one that kind of prompted.
Yeah, it was just all kinds of noises, it's fighting, stereo, refused to turn the stereo down, yeah, I mean, that's really what prompted it. But, because he said he didn't have to because he moved out in the country or something, yeah.
I mean, the other question is 90 decibels enough? I mean,
I quite honestly, I don't even know what that is without actually
having an
testing it. I mean,
instrument,
I know there is an app I looked at, I've been looking at some cell phone apps too. I don't know how accurate and how that would stand up in court if you're using your cell phone instead of an actual decimal
I
meter.
think you'd probably be okay. I mean, it's just look at the weight, not the admissibility of evidence.
So maybe I should do a little bit more research on what exactly 90 decibels is.
According to some things on the web, 90 decibels is a jackhammer at 50 feet, subway train at 200 feet, train whistle at 500 feet, truck traffic. Handheld drill is 98 decibels. Power mower is 107 decibels. Power saw at 3 feet is 110 decibels. A sandblasting and a loud rock concert is 115 decibels.
So we have 115 for more than 2 minutes and 10 feet from the property line. And that's pretty much any time, right? Did I read that right?
Is a stereo, 60 decibels.
I would say if the neighbors can hear it inside their house, it's going to be above 90. I mean, that's just my thinking,
So it sounds like
Obviously, this could be adjusted if
we
need be
need to
too.
hear back from the prosecutor and see what they say before we really can go forward with debating on what all the details are.
Do we want to try to simplify the exceptions, some of the exceptions too?
Yeah, we can do that. Do you wanna just share your thoughts with me after the meeting or something?
Okay, that's fine.
Alright, so we'll table this and then, you guys can work on that, hear back from the prosecutor and then, figure out what, we need to take steps.
That's the
forward.
big thing with the prosecutor's office. I don't know how much, since it is civil, I don't know how much involvement or input that they're gonna give me, other than the fact that they said we should have one. Because it's not criminal, it's gonna be a civil.
Right, well, I mean, he also indicated he didn't want to use the, nuisance
Right,
complaint as a way to prosecute, so.
right. That was like
We
a
need-
worst case scenario if we had to move that far, had so many multiple complaints. And he was willing to do it, but it was kind of, can we come up with some other options first?
Okay. Alright. Well, let's table that and then when we hear back from the prosecutor and then work on cleaning those other things up you guys wanted to talk about.
Sure.
We can talk about it next month. All right, next item on the agenda, deputy clerk. So Jenny wants to hire a deputy clerk. Well, I kind of pushed her that way.
I was gonna do the salary ones, but I need to get my hands on.
Okay,
We'll get it
so we
done.
need to table this till April.
Yeah, 'cause I need to get with, the guy from Baker Tilly to see the money that we got from the CARES Act, if we can use that. If not, we're gonna have to figure something out. Where
Okay.
it's gonna come from, so.
And then we have about 9,000 in the cigarette tax fund. Aren't we allowed to transfer that into the general whenever we need it?
Yeah, we've got, 42,000 in the rainy day fund. I'd have to see if we can use it for that too,
Okay.
rainy day. But there's, from the CARES Act, we have $10,666, so it just depends on what I can do with it.
Right, which would cover
Yeah.
what we need, so, all right. We'll table that until next month. All right, anything else in old business that we didn't get put on here on the agenda? All right, new business. First item is National Youth Service Day. I put that on our agenda. That is the last weekend in April, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I contacted the churches in town and the sponsor at the school for the student council and asked if they would be interested in doing a service day project in Clayton. I got an overwhelming yes from the youth pastor at Clayton Christian Church. They would love to do this kind of a project, and so what the plan was, the thought was to do like a trash cleanup around our public spaces like the town hall, the park, the fire station, just pick up trash, but also to do some beautification, like planting some spring flowers. So I talked to a couple of landscapers, lawn care folks, Jim Davis and Carson McCleary, and they were very happy to help with that. So what they would do is they would offer like professional advice on here's where you would get the best bang for your buck on planting these spring flowers, maybe offer some help with tools and supervision of whatever I don't know what the makeup of the youth that will show up for that service day will be, but obviously some adult supervision might be necessary. And then, so as we get closer to that, I was gonna, put that more into a kind of a formal plan of who's gonna be doing what and where. But that's kind of the beginning of what we wanted to do. My thoughts about the spring flowers, I don't know what everybody's thoughts is. I wanted to put just a post out on our website, social media, saying to the residents in town of Clayton, hey, if you want to donate some spring flowers or some sort of landscaping item for these youth groups to do this youth service day, go to your favorite, home improvement store, pick up a small tray of whatever flowers you want to bring them to the town hall that week, and then they would use those to plant. So, Leanne mentioned to me, what about our last frost? And of course, if I do something like this, it'll be afterwards. But my wife and I volunteered, if we do have a frost after we plant these, we'll run out and put like covers over the plants and stuff. So we volunteer our time to do that. But any other thoughts on this from the?
I missed, did you say you had already designated areas where you would do that? Or?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and get the professionals, the Jim Davis and Carson McCleary, to give me kind of their ideas, that kind of stuff to what they think would be the best plan for that.
Okay.
Because,
Well,
I
the
mean,
town hall needs something.
yes,
It looks horrible.
yes, so that's, you know, so we're gonna do a lot of work here at the town hall, and then I really like that, the Lambert sign that, is it Bob and Hazel Lambert? You know, whoever the Lamberts were, they donated that park space, and so they have a sign out there. I wanted to make sure and decorate around that nicely, but yeah, you know, something to clean up and beautify the town hall and the town park.
And for putting it on the website, I think what you're saying is good, but you probably need to know ahead of time where you're planting, because you don't want people to bring in a lot of stuff that is sun plants, and then you're gonna plant it in shade.
Yeah, that's
So
good,
you've
yeah.
gotta kinda give some idea of, well, we need so many trays of sun and we need so many trays of shade, or, you know, whatever, so.
Yeah, good point. So that's, you know, hopefully talking with Jim and Carson, we can come up with that kind of a plan before
Yeah,
because next town hall meeting will be still before this, so we have some time to plan out and put that kind of stuff together. Now, Carson also attends, he's a firefighter in Plainfield and attends Clayton Christian Church. He said that the church was also working on finding an elderly, you know, family or couple here in town that maybe they're, you know, not as mobile, can't do landscaping, that we might also attack their
I was gonna say, wait just a minute.
attack their yard as well. So Carson was gonna work on that side of it. I don't know what they're gonna come up with, but that's one of the things they also thought. So I thought,
we might check in with Cox's also and see if they would be interested in donating some stuff. I mean, if,
They're in our backyard.
yeah,
yeah, if the
Right.
town doesn't bring enough things to plant, you know, we might have somebody that would be interested in donating. I'm not saying that they would, but wouldn't hurt to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, they may have something that's, maybe they have surplus of something that they need to get rid of or something.
They might donate some more substantial things or something, if we wanted some bushes or something, instead of just little plants, so, who knows?
Does anybody on the town board have a contact at Cox's if they want to take that on, or?
I will.
Okay,
My next door neighbor Margaret works down there, so I'll
Okay.
just go,
Alright.
go next door and ask Margaret.
okay, so Leanne will, ask, her next door neighbor about whether Cox's wants to be involved in donating. Any other thoughts on it? We'll talk about it again next month, see where our plans have gone, where we're more specifics. Alright, so next item on the agenda is supplemental engagement letter for sewage works bond from Graham.
I circulated this by email, here's a copy as well. SRF requires a succinct statement in connection with the sewage works bond issuance. So that's an engagement letter for that purpose.
And this fund comes out of that SRF loan, or is
Paid
this
out of
stuff
bond
separate?
proceeds.
Okay, bond proceeds. Any questions on this letter? Basically, it's, do you want me to read it for you guys, or everybody
got it.
got a copy of that? Okay.
We don't need to make a motion on it, you just sign it.
Just a motion, and I think there's just a signature page for the president.
I'll make a motion for the supplemental engagement letter for the jury and work on.
Okay, got a first?
I'll second.
Alright, got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Next one is donation for annual staff recognition breakfast for the Mill Creek Community Schools.
Yeah, I got a letter from them for a donation. We sent 500 to the,
Post-prom party.
post-prom. And we have left $750.
What'd we do last year?
They didn't have one because
Oh, yeah.
school was out. We usually send them, we usually send them 200 or 300, but I don't remember. I've been sure.
I think it was 300 last time they had breakfast, we sent it.
I remember you sent them something, 2019, pre-COVID.
They do have a nice breakfast out there for everybody.
Staff recognition. Is that all of the school corporation or just the
All
high
of them,
school? All.
yeah, all of them.
For the teachers from both elementaries.
Custodians and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, it's real nice.
I'll make a motion that we send them $400 for the staff recognition breakfast.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Alright, oh man, I forgot my copy of the liaison position. I have the liaison position, oh, look at that, and he's got it. The liaison position, Leanne helped develop this, like a year and a half ago, and we all picked something that we were going to be the liaison for in town. I just wanted to revisit this and make sure we were all still aware of what our liaison positions were, and or if somebody wanted to switch one of their liaison positions. I know for myself, I had put myself down for public safety and water, stormwater, and wastewater, and I wouldn't mind staying in that spot for those. The other ones on air budget, ordinances and planning, public works, information technology, parks, recreation, and beautification. And is there only one page?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. I think it,
Well, I'll stay on the parks.
Alright, so John's on park. What?
I thought he'd be on the
Yeah,
technology.
we already know.
Yeah,
Information technology.
I'll bail from technology and we'll give it to John.
I would, but they took away Dr. Susan's book.
And by the way, you guys didn't ask me, Leanne appointed me to my position.
it was just kind of like,
She just
yeah,
said, that's your
that-
job.
that's yours.
Just let it happen.
Yeah.
Do you not wanna do information technology?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I was
Alright,
wondering.
and so
Maybe a little.
David, you got information technology, John's got parks. And then,
I had
budget,
budget,
you were-
ordinances,
and then, so that leaves public works, is that yours, Steve?
I'm happy to help out with other stuff besides.
Okay. Then, obviously, the liaison positions aren't, you're not like, you know, the
Siloed into it.
authoritarian on that. Yeah, if people have questions about those things, they should be able to funnel that through you. If there are situations that, you know, you feel like the town needs, that's one of the areas that, we'd like for each of us to kind of champion those causes to help, grow things in our town with relation to those areas.
When, should we, like, if we get inquiries about each one of those items, should it be forwarded on then to the person that's kind of the liaison for that?
I would say so, yeah, that way
Okay.
they can, cause then we don't have, you know, two different people working on the same
Yeah.
thing, but in different tangents, and we can kind of keep everything on the same page
Okay.
with where things are going with that.
If you would send me, or just let me write it down, who was who on what.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I can know who to forward
Yeah, I can
questions.
scan it in and, email it back to everybody. We can also maybe even put something like this on the webpage so
Yeah.
people have kind of an idea of that.
Because we do have an Ask at Clayton address now, you know, and people can ask questions, and they are occasionally stuff coming in. So, if something comes in, I can just forward that on to whoever that appropriate person is.
Very good. Anything else on liaison position? All right, next thing I have on the agenda, snow removal policy. Jenny and I talked about this, when we had our big snow amount. Pete was out for 11 and a half hours working on, cleaning up our streets and stuff, which was great. I applauded all of his efforts. He did a great job with, doing that. What we wanted to do was give him the authority as the maintenance department head to use our snow removal budget and call the landscaping companies that are all out saying, hey, we'll remove snow, or if he has a friend with a snow plow, or he can call a help in with that, so
Mhm.
that he's not doing that for 11 and a half hours one day. Sometimes we're gonna have, it's Indiana, sometimes we're gonna have some big snows. We didn't use hardly anything out of that, last year, which I'm not too sure. Last year we had $2,500 in that budget. This year we dropped it down to $250. Hopefully,
We never called
we didn't
anybody
use
to come in and help.
right. And when I talked to Pete about this, he was very excited because he just didn't know that he had that option. He's like, oh yeah, I totally would have called somebody if I'd known I had that option. He was, doing that. I think it was his wife that called actually and said, where's Pete? And, well, he's out pushing snow. So that's why I wanted to come up with a snow removal policies to help him out with that. There are also some other items in there. I know since kind of filling in for the town manager role, I have been invited to participate in a conference call once a week with the other town managers in Hendricks County. And they were all talking about their snow removal policy and some of the details about it. And so I thought, well, this would be kind of a good deal for the town to have. In that also, it includes, like if we're removing snow and we accidentally take out somebody's mailbox, what is the town's responsibility? What do we do? Currently, we would call our insurance agent, and then they would investigate, and then potentially they would cause our premiums to go up because we've used the insurance. So the other towns in the area, they have their own kind of like subline in there about, we'll pay for a mailbox that we take out up to this amount, kind of thing. And then you don't have to involve the insurance. And I checked with Kevin Hill, and he's fine with that. He said, yeah, we totally support towns that want to do that and avoid an insurance involvement on something small like that. So that's in there. I think I put $75 maximum for our post office or a mailbox if we take out a mailbox. Obviously, the best thing would be for us to not take out a mailbox, but
He's been real good about not getting.
yeah, he does a good job. I'm not trying to disparage him at all. So did anybody get a chance to look through that snow removal policy and
I looked through
have
it.
any questions on that?
Well, while you're on snow, I'm gonna suggest we purchased that, pre-treatment stuff put down for snow removal. But what we really need is to go back to where we're spreading some kind of calcium or salt snow. Cause you push the snow, then you're not putting nothing down on the street, so we can refreeze at night and stuff. In our intersections, we have, the only salt we have is on our little side-by-side ATV. You go back with that and then double up on your work again, so.
Didn't we get rid of the salt because of the storage of it?
Well, yeah, but I do know what Brian Rutledge, which does this in the wintertime, he does most of landscaping, but he keeps it up at his farm. He told us that he would sell us the salt if we needed, and we could just come up there and they load it up in the truck as needed. We wouldn't have to store it anywhere. And I don't remember what kind of price he had on it or something. But I always thought, and it's not actually, it's that biodegradable, it might be like what Manville and them use,
Is it that brine stuff?
it's like salt.
Brine is a liquid.
Right. We
Also.
did a brine thing a couple of years ago, but with
That's for pre-treating, but it doesn't do anything
It
for us
doesn't.
after it's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not,
Right. Yeah,
Is that the beet juice?
Yes.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's,
And we got rid of our salt spreader, didn't we?
yeah.
Mm.
Well, it's sitting over at Rob, I believe.
Oh.
Sitting, we took it off that truck and they were gonna put, Rob was supposed to put it on our truck we got now, and it never got done.
Oh,
But, you could like say double up and, like I was with people who's pushing snow, once you push it, we put the salt down in the intersections, it would look like 39, in a few hours, or the states come down and, push salt and, push snow and salt at the same time. Keep the street from refreezing. That's just something to consider, I never wasn't a big fan of that, solution that we used to. Hopefully we won't have another snow like that for a while.
so the beet juice is always the pre-treat, so you should put that on, is there like a time frame involved when, how far in advance you should put that down? Cause I know sometimes the county puts it down,
A
and
day or
it's
two ahead.
like, yeah, it's like 2 days out. when it
48
finds-
hours
Is it 48 hours?
Because you don't know what kind of precipitation you're gonna get to wash it away.
Sure.
So you don't wanna put it out there too long. So 48 hours is what we generally put that out for.
So if we did a pre-treat, but then we still, after we're pushing snow, also spread something that was, I mean, straight salt is really hard on grass, lawns and stuff off the side of the road, so we definitely don't wanna do straight salt.
What I was talking
There's-
about is biodegradable,
Right.
it won't hurt.
I know like some places use a molasses and
Yeah.
something, that's,
They even make a
uh,
thing that goes in a truck that, not that we have the beet juice, but a lot of people now are mixing their own solution, salt solution. They make a tank that's you've got that solution, you mix it up with water and salt in your own truck. Plus you've got, let's say the calcium chloride or whatever, and the other part, it does double duty, you could do either one.
Would that be something that our liaison would check into and get back to us on it?
Or if-
I'm giving you stuff.
That'd be the perfect thing, that's what I do.
yeah, I think having Steve kinda look at some of our options with this would be great, cause, that way we can, put together a policy that actually has something that's gonna work and not just,
Well, also, if you got a big snow and you hire somebody to help you, a lot of times they've got salt, or they've got something in their truck or their bed too, that while they can do it, that they got, then you wouldn't have to get a place to store it or anything. If they put it in while they was pushing. A lot of options there, Steve.
alright, so
The
we'll,
deep freeze is where your problem is. That's
Right.
where
Yeah.
you can melt it while you're plowing, but it's tomorrow morning that, you gotta be on top of that too, or you just wasted the night before.
Yeah.
So,
alright, So we'll, put that into your court, Steve, for kind of a, a little research and then come back and give us recommendations on the better way to handle that, for the future. And then, but the biggest part of this that I was wanting was some help for Pete. He's, just one guy out there. And, on a snow, when you get it 8.5 inches, in a matter of a couple hours or a few hours like we did, it makes a difference. All right, we'll table that. Next on the agenda, reimbursement to Melody Heron.
She's selling the massage place down here, and she hasn't been in there since March of last year, but she's still been paying the bill. So I wanted to check to make sure it was okay if I reimbursed her what she's paid since she hadn't been in the building.
The sewer bill.
Yeah.
I really don't have a problem with it because we don't, you go to Florida for 2 months, you let us know, we don't charge you a sewer bill while you're gone, no one's there.
Is that a pretty standard, thing for us to do?
Yeah.
Do we typically require a notice ahead of time?
They always tell me ahead of time that they're leaving, yeah. And it's usually people that are gone like from December to April. It's usually 3 months, 2, 3, 4 months.
Okay. But Miss Heron didn't let us know
No, she didn't tell
ahead
me
of
that.
time. She
No,
was
she didn't tell me
vacating.
that she wasn't there anymore.
And how do we verify that she has been gone for that period of time in order to justify
Right.
giving her a reimbursement, I guess?
Yeah, that's true too, I know.
Is it in our ordinance? How you handle that? Does somebody have to tell you they're gonna be gone, or?
No, it's basically just what we've done over the years, it's kind of like a courtesy thing. You come and told Jenny, I'm gonna be gone from, December through the 1st of April, and
She didn't
she
do that,
was,
so.
And it's just because I'm so nice,
I personally haven't noticed any traffic there, and I highly doubt anybody was getting massages in May or March of 2020.
when the pandemic started,
Right.
she,
That's
yeah,
when-
because she couldn't have anybody in there.
So, there really hasn't been any cars that I can tell for a long time.
I do know the sale is progressing
Yeah,
the way that we
yeah, I
want
think she
it,
told me
so,
she thought they would probably close in April.
yeah.
And how much is she wanting back?
Well, she's paid about $900, a little over $900.
Why would she continue to pay if she
I
knew
don't
she
know,
wasn't there
so
and
why
then
wouldn't
come
you
back
just
out
call and
with
say, I'm
that?
not there anymore? I don't know, people are weird. Somebody else had moved, and they don't tell you that they're gone. Well, I don't drive around to see if there's anybody in the house.
okay, I'm just gonna say no.
My vote's no.
I say no.
Not one Hollywood. So won't be we.
Even if she said she hasn't been there since last March, that's $540 for the bill that we have been sending, right? Or she's a business still.
She's commercial.
She's commercial, right? Sorry, my bad. All right. So far I've got 2 votes no,
Three.
3 votes no. That's the majority. So, all right. So we'll say no to reimbursement for Melody Aaron.
And I'll give them from your phone number.
Okay. Which that brings me to there has been a lot of chatter this month specifically because everybody got surprised. by their sewer bill going up, and which I understand people getting upset and angry. Jenny is not the cause of your sewer bill going up, and for people watching on YouTube and people here, it is not acceptable to come in and yell at Jenny. Don't be rude to our clerk treasurer over something that wasn't her fault. I witnessed it today, and I was just very embarrassed that somebody would do that. You know, she's doing her job. She's working hard to try and help this town. And somebody comes in and wants to throw things at her or be rude to her, and that's not acceptable. I don't know what else to say about that other than I was just appalled that somebody would do that.
They throw something on that.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, one good thing, which I don't know if you feel like this would be necessary, but I know we have a camera on the front porch, but they don't catch any of that stuff of people coming in here and yelling at you in the office. Would you feel like that would be a necessary thing, as having something that catches them being hostile and rude to you in the office?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea, because if that situation come up, then you have it right there on camera.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully today, John was in the office and Judy and myself were here, so I mean, I feel like they were maybe a little bit more restrained, but I just got the impression that this person would have been more rude if Jenny had been in there by herself. And again, I don't think that should ever be tolerated. I don't think it should be done by people who claim to be adults.
Why did that happen like that? Why did the bill just go up like that? Why didn't it happen over a period of time? Who dropped the
The
ball?
discussion, which this is really not a time for public comment, but I'll answer your question. This did not just go up like that. We started having discussions about this a year ago in April, and we had a public hearing in June. We had a public hearing in September. We had a public hearing in October. And then we passed an ordinance in November for this to go up in March. So it has not been just all of a sudden. We followed all of the appropriate state statutes for notifying people. There were notifications at the post office, at the town Clayton Food Mart. We had a notification on our bulletin board here. We put a notice on our website and our Facebook page. There was a notice in the Republican. So we did our due diligence with trying to notify every household in Clayton. In fact, Jenny even put it on the sewer bill. It was typed out on the sewer bill. Here's what's going to happen. So I feel bad that it was a surprise to some people. However, it wasn't hidden from people. So there's
I would have liked to
statement
got
about that.
something in the mail.
All right. Next item on the agenda, door-to-door solicitation form.
I had someone email me about she was gonna be doing door-to-door solicitations this summer, probably for college or something. And I don't think we don't have anything like that, do we? If we do, is it in one of the ordinance books, or?
I've never seen anything myself.
I thought it would be in
I
one
know
of the
we've
ordinance
talked
books.
about it, but we've never made anything up.
I mean, I get door-to-door solicitors all the time. White Oak Construction comes by my house like once every 3 months.
They're supposed to come in here and get a permit, but no one ever does.
Okay.
I just wondered if there was any kind of a permit that I could tell this girl.
Yeah, I don't. If we have an ordinance for that, then I mean we can try to find that and revisit that if we need to do
I guess-
those kinds of things.
I guess that's my
It is.
That's my job.
It's on your liaison position.
I will check into that.
Okay, ordinance, says door to door. Solicitation implies selling something, correct? Is that, I mean, so wouldn't be about somebody just providing a flyer about notice or
No, no, I don't
Okay.
think so.
solicitation, all right. All right, I'm going to add in, our new item on new business here. Real quick, we have, as most people are probably aware, we are currently working without a town manager. We have interviewed a few qualified candidates and want to move forward on a decision for that. So we have a proposal to hire a gentleman or extend an offer to a gentleman, Mr. Rod Hale, who's applied and interviewed and meets all the qualifications. He would work, if he accepted the offer, 25 hours a week at the ordinance salary for a town manager. And then we also want to kind of enhance Pete Angrick, our maintenance manager, department head, to work part-time as a town manager alongside Mr. Hale, and that way he would kind of learn the ropes of the things that he's currently lacking in experience for being a town manager. So, town board, anybody have further discussion on that issue?
I like the idea of doing that. Do we need a motion or anything?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we accept that.
Okay. Got a first?
I'll second that.
Second motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we will reach out to those two candidates and make them the offers that we've just mentioned and move forward with that. All right, next on the agenda is Chief Oliphant. Do you have any items for us?
I do. So I'm working on coming up with a plan to update our policy procedure manual. Last time it was updated, I'm thinking it was around 2005. So I've updated various policies when case laws changed, but I'd like to revamp the whole entire book. There's a company now, it's called Lexipol, and they will actually help you write your policy manual, and then they'll keep it updated. If there's new case law comes out, they'll update it for us. I'll find out tomorrow. I don't know the exact dollar amount on how much it's going to cost, but I'd like to move forward with that. I do have some money in taser replacement that I don't know that I'm going to spend all of it, because I found a way of potentially getting some used tasers to kind of help lower that cost as opposed to buying brand new. So I'm hoping I can use some of that funds, if we could transfer it, to cover some of this cost to rewriting the policy manual. And we definitely need to bring it up to speed though. Like I said, a lot of our policies, again, use of force, a lot of the major ones have been rewritten, but I would like to redo the whole entire manual and then have it board approved, because I don't think the previous manual was ever board approved.
Okay.
And then the other thing, we're talking about trying to come up with maybe a summer concert date potentially tonight, if we could.
The last concert we did at the park was a big hit, so.
Yeah.
You thinking late summer again?
3 or 4.
Concerts?
You think 3?
I thought we could do it for more than one,
Oh, okay.
potentially. I don't know how the board feels, but it really wasn't super expensive, and I feel like everybody enjoyed, had a good time, and do we want to do 3? 1 spring, 1 summer, 1 late summer? They have to probably be, do you plan at this point, we probably are looking at end of May, maybe, for the first
Let me
one?
check the park thing because it's pretty booked up from graduation and stuff.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Let me know some dates.
Okay.
Try to come up with 3 dates for me and then we'll try to see what we can do.
Spring, summer, and late summer?
So I'm thinking late spring,
Okay.
middle of the summer, so around 4th of July
Yeah,
and
cause if
then,
you can let me know, I can put it in there and then nobody else can,
yeah.
nobody can limit that day.
We have money, so do we have money in the budget for block party stuff this year? I think we would be well within our budget.
3,000.
Yeah, we'd be well within the budget to do 3.
What would be nice is if we paid for the band, and then maybe we got 3 different organizations to come in and do, like the food
Yeah.
type of thing. Maybe get some
They could do
community
it as a fundraiser
involvement.
for that. They could do it as a fundraiser for the not-for-profit, potentially. So, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I know there's always, youth baseball is always looking for ways to raise money, and that's a good idea. So I work with Jenny and come up with some dates,
Okay,
try to get something scheduled. So that
All right.
way we have it, and then we can work together maybe again, try to find some bands. I know the one last year, people enjoyed that, so maybe see if they wanna come back again.
okay, very good. We had some vandalism at the park at the gazebo. Did you have any
Yeah,
luck?
so, no, but I think it's old. We need to get that fixed, because I feel like once one starts, then people yank all the rest of them out. I've been looking at some different options. The camera distance is just too far. It's just grainy. You can't see anything. And when I reviewed the video, there was nothing there.
Okay.
Because I think it's not fresh. I don't think that just happened. But I almost
When-
wonder if it'd be beneficial to put a camera off of the corner of the mini barn that's out there, maybe. To kind of get a better angle of that. I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause you got electricity at the main barn,
We do.
and you got electricity at the little shelter house too. Most of there.
So,
We never got electricity out to the gazebo, did we?
yeah, that's what
It
you
is working?
Why can't you put one in the middle,
'Cause it wasn't
in the gazebo?
You could. Looking straight now,
Yeah.
yeah, potentially. They're wired cameras. That would be the biggest thing that would be, you'd have to come up with a way to wire it. I'd like to put one of the new cameras that we have here out there. The only problem is with we don't have internet out there anymore like we used to. I could explore getting another internet card at $30 a month, and then we would have internet back out there. But when we switched the phone service around, we actually took the internet that was out there and put it at the wastewater plant. Yeah. But I'm not opposed to looking at adding another Wi-Fi location out there and putting a Verkada camera out there that are, I mean, the technology even from what we have out there to this Verkada system that we're on here now is unbelievable. But my line of thinking is leave the cameras in place because there's still good cameras at the shelter house, and then put a Verkada camera on the corner of the barn, or because they have power there, I could put the Wi-Fi internet in there. It's kind of what I was thinking maybe. And would we have park funds for that available? The retention's a lot longer too on the Verkada system. It's over 30 days. It's just,
Yeah, there's
It's
plenty
not-
of money in the park fund.
so I could do a little bit of research and see if I can't come up with a solution to get internet in the barn and
Okay.
connect something.
Yeah, and I talked to Pete about finding some replacement slots, because those are plastic
Right.
rails.
I popped a couple of them back in over the time. It's kind of like the broken windows theory. It's
Right.
just one window's broken, someone's gonna break another one.
Right.
So
Okay.
we really need to get it repaired sooner than later, so they don't just rip them all out. But
Sure.
I really feel like if we could get a camera closer to it, I could get better faces that we could share, if someone's vandalizing it, because in the past, I had people on camera, and I can see them doing it, but I can't, I have no idea because it's so far away. It's really hard to tell who it is. So, again, if we're closer, and I'm pretty sure the barn's quite a bit closer, it should have a lot better angle, is what I'm thinking.
Okay. And then, another item that I wanna talk about is this intercom on the front door. Poor Jenny is like, they basically just hear her yelling from inside, cause it doesn't seem to be a loud enough speaker for them to hear over the speaker.
Well, there's usually a race trash truck going by about the time they're here.
So I
Every
didn't
single
know,
time, right? Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a fancy piece of equipment, but I didn't know if there was,
It really wasn't super expensive. We didn't
Something
buy
better.
a high dollar one when we set that up. I mean,
cause she hits that button and then says, come in, and they don't hear, so she yells again and again.
we
and
did
again.
adjust the door timing though.
And it's way
Yes.
better,
The
yeah.
door
But I
timing
just
is
need to make
better,
a phone, I think.
but I just.
I mean, is it
sometimes
something
like-
that we wanna explore upgrading that system? Is that what you're thinking, or?
I mean, I don't know, Jenny's the one who has to deal with it, so she
Is
can
it-
Well,
tell
one
you
thing that
better,
we
but
could
I
do,
just feel bad for her sitting over
Well,
here and like, I
one
wanna
thing
go
we
get
could,
the
one
door.
thing we could do, it would tie into her cell phone, would be a Ring doorbell. I mean, that would be probably the cheapest upgrade that we could do that works really well. But it would tie to her cell phone then. So anytime she's in her home and somebody hits the door here, it's gonna ring on her phone, unless you turn it off, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, she'll have no problem with hearing them, it's just, when the ring, she tells, she pushes the button before we
Yeah,
come in.
well, with the ring, it would work a lot better though, it'd be louder. I mean, ring doorbells are really solid, I mean, they work great. So, I mean, that would be one way that could upgrade it for a few $100s. It's just a matter of,
Is that something you'd like to explore? I mean, you're the one who has to
Yeah,
deal with
that'd
the
be
headache
fine
of
to
it.
see how much it is, yeah.
they're not that expensive and they work really well.
Okay.
I just feel bad that she's sitting there yelling and it's not working. So, but. All
I
right,
can keep an eye on the park. I live right across from it.
Yeah, you do.
anything else for Chief Oliphant? From the board. All right, George Burnett,
I
wastewater
have one
treatment
thing.
plant operator, huh?
I had one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
Is there a
My
time
bad.
where I could get with you or we could go around town and look at speed limit signs? Because I mean, I've been driving around, but I want to have at least one board member with me so we can kind of look at it together and kind of just
Yeah,
take
absolutely.
30 minutes or 40 minutes, an hour and just drive around and kind of work on that together.
Yeah, and Pete worked this last month on making sure.
You can bring
he-
Pete on board with it, 3 or 4 of us to meet and
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
talk about it.
He worked on making sure he understands all the placement height
Right.
that the state
The
requires.
regulations.
Right, so he's got all that.
I wouldn't mind if a group of us could team up together and kind of hammer that out.
Sure.
That way we're all on the same page. And,
Yeah.
because I could take a picture or I could mark it on a map, but I think if we actually walk it and all together, I mean, he's gonna be the one putting it in. I think it'd be a lot better if we met together and
Okay.
kind of talked about it.
Yeah, let's put together a date where we can all do that.
Okay, let me know. Yep. No, that's all.
Okay,
I'm good now.
for reals this time.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, George.
Okay, so we've been working with Joe at GRW on this easement right away for the sewer work that's getting ready to happen for the laterals and everything, and the Pinner property, and then the church, and then the, I think it's Mitchell's on the corner right there. So it was the fact that when the lines were put in, an easement was granted, but the actual, where it got put is not directly on top of the easement. So they found that out when they were getting ready to do the work. So I think, Graham, you've been working with him. He drew up the letters to actually go out to each one of the property owners to sign that what they're gonna do is realign the easement that's already given to be right on top of the line that's actually there. So it's really just a clarification part. And town was gonna take care of that. Joe sent them over I printed them out, was gonna have the homeowner sign it, and then realized, uh-oh, these gotta be done in front of a notary. So, I think it has to divert to Jenny, and somehow we have to let each one of those people stop in here, sign the document. So wanted to bring that up to see how we would proceed with that, and John, you could get
I
a
get
hold
hold
of
of
church.
Bill Gammons and church and the neighbors over there, and tell them.
I could get a hold of James, I think he's back in town now, but him come up and, we've already
He's supposed to
pre-talked.
come here tomorrow.
Pardon?
James is supposed to come here tomorrow.
Okay, great. So you could get with him, and then John, if you could talk to those folks.
Yeah.
We've already pre-talked to everyone.
Yeah.
So we
everyone
just wanna
has
leave
to-
them,
I'll leave
Jenny
these with
then,
Jenny.
and I get hold of those other two and tell them to come up,
Great,
see her.
great.
Yeah, just ask them to stop in the office and sign it in front of Jenny, and then she'll
Yeah.
notarize it.
Fantastic.
Very good. That's a great asset to have, that Jenny is our notary.
Yes.
Otherwise, we have to.
And Judy is too.
All right, nice.
Other than that,
That's all you have, right?
that's all I have.
Your new equipment got all installed and hooked up right, and
Yeah,
you're
so far, yeah, everything's working well.
fired up and running.
Yeah, we're still waiting on the blower components to come in, so that'll probably be in another month or so, but everything we've gotten so far is doing well.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Chief Moffett is not gonna be here from the fire department of Liberty Township. It's his wife's birthday, so he took her out to dinner.
Smart man.
But he did send us a chief's report, and I'll make sure and forward that to everybody so we get to see that, details of their work at the fire department. So, I did ask him recently about vaccination status of his crews. He said about 40% of his EMS and fire crews have gotten both of their vaccinations at that time. I was just curious. I wasn't trying to make it mandatory or anything, but I just wanted to know if they had been. I know they had lots of their firefighters out for quarantines over the last year because
Yeah,
of being
very
exposed
exposed.
and sick from it, but they're on their way to getting everybody vaccinated. So, any other thoughts about the fire department? The power's back on at the fire station, even though last month I'd reported they were having those outages. Took me 2.5 days to get Duke Energy to actually believe that the fire station is on 111 Kentucky Street. They didn't believe that address. Even when I took a picture of the meter, it has a number on it, and told her over the phone, here's the number. She said, no, that meter's in Brownsburg. I said, okay.
Blocked by 3 miles.
So, anyway, all right. So that's all of the new business that I have. Anybody else from the town council have any other new business that we didn't? Okay.
James Pinner was in here today, and he needs a letter from the town, I wrote one up, that says that he has paid us $1,000 a month for, and I don't know how long, back when Lance was on the on the town board. It's something about a forgivable loan that he has, but he has to have this letter that shows that he's still been paying this money. So I just wrote up a letter. I told him what I was gonna say, and he said that was fine, and I was gonna have you sign it, and then I was gonna notarize it so that they know that we're not lying about it. But I don't know the dates. I'm sure all that stuff's down in the basement, and I don't have any idea how long it's been.
And $1,000 a month is what he was paying for water he was sending to our facility.
Our sewer plant.
Yeah.
Right, and now from what I remember of his contract, he was supposed to install a meter that,
That's what we were gonna do originally, and then we never did.
Yeah.
We just kept paying $1,000. But as
Yeah.
soon as all this other stuff is taking place down there, then he'll put
Yeah, that's incorporated into the
Yeah.
master plan.
then that will go in and he'll start paying us, we'll start charging him for however much he puts in. but right now he's still just paying
Just $1,000 a month.
He's paying
And
the
we-
1,000, but then he's also not charging for our,
Right,
stuff to get rid of it, so it's,
The solids,
it's
right?
in
Right.
addition to the 1,000, I mean, it's unseen funds, but he's taking it for free, basically,
yeah.
so.
Okay.
So anyway, I just wanted to, I've got this
Yeah.
as long
And
as
we
you
could,
sign it.
I mean, we could do a bank record search and find deposits of that,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah,
so if they push the issue,
right.
it wouldn't be difficult to actually,
And then I've
Go
got
back.
two people that, Jeff Perry wants someone to call him from the town council about the parking issue. You guys remember the parking issue that he had by his apartments?
Well, there isn't one,
What?
but
Well, there isn't, but he wants to talk to somebody. And then Brad Robertson wants to talk to you, so I'll give you his phone number.
okay,
That's all I have.
that's it?
Yep.
All right, thank you, Jenny. Steve? John? Me? Dave?
no, I was gonna ask you about the sidewalks, but I see you answered that this morning, so.
Yeah, we got an ask the admin question on our
yeah, it's-
webpage. Mr. Phelps emailed saying that he was wondering why his sidewalk wasn't repaired yet. It's one of there's the 160 linear feet on Cross Street that we approved last fall for Wallace Construction, but he's also doing some asphalt work, and apparently while you can do sidewalk work in any weather, asphalt work has to wait till it's much warmer. So Jake at Wallace Construction said, I'm just gonna do all of it together when I come back to Clayton. And he estimates, the last time I talked to him, mid to late April is when he'll do that. So that sidewalk will get repaired during that period of time. Although I noticed when I was over there today, just to double check where it was at, the house that's right on Iowa or 39 and Cross, their vehicles are right on the sidewalk. And so that, I mean, we have an ordinance forbids that, but I
We do.
don't know if they've been talked to or if that's been something that's
I can
been
check into it.
mentioned, just, hey, we're gonna work on this sidewalk and then when it's repaired, we'd like for it to stay nice.
We've
If
been
you
pretty
could-
successful in the
not
repair, because
park
I
it.
know on Kentucky Street, they used to park, they're not parking on top of that one for the most part. Every once in a while, we'll get somebody that does, but once we repair them, I feel like for the most part, people are staying off of them, so. But yeah, we can have those discussions.
Okay. All right, anything else then?
I did, I did.
George, has something else?
I was thinking through what you said a while ago, is equipment working, yes, well, but I, moved the old incubator and the sampler out. Those things are over 20-some years old, do I just find somebody that wants to get rid of them and just get rid of them?
There's a statute for getting rid of municipal property,
Yeah.
we have to go about doing it.
Okay, so
Can we sell it to somebody that wants old stuff?
There's,
Or-
you basically have to provide notice and an opportunity for people to buy, yeah,
Oh,
or reverse.
cool, let's do that then.
Alright, so I'll work with, figure out what that is and bring it up next time. I
Yeah,
just got
I mean,
it out
if-
shed for now.
Maybe another wastewater treatment plant someplace wants to buy it for scrap or something and
Right,
piece together
okay, cool.
a new robot or whatever. All right. All right, anything else? Okay. Any objections to adjournment from the town council? Dave, Leanne, Steve, and Jenny.
Nope, I'm
Okay.
good.
All right, meeting adjourned at 8:29.